Hi friends, welcome to Cloudy with a Chance of Sprinkles. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make hand-cut sugar cookies. When you get maybe an order of something really unique, you're not going to be able to find those cutters in the store like the ones that I use for these little cartoon characters here. Or you just don't want to go buy any, don't want to wait for shipping, whatever it might be. So what I got here is I printed off all the different kinds of shapes I was going to need for the cookies that I was making, and then I glued them to cardstock. You don't necessarily have to glue it to cardstock. I just think having that more stiff edge kind of helps during the cutting process when we put it with the dough, but it's kind of just a plus there. So I cut them out. I printed them. If you want to hand draw whatever you're cutting, that's totally fine as well. And then they're ready to go, and then we can roll out our dough here. Okay, make sure that it's not super duper sticky because you're going to be placing the cardstock on top of it, and you don't want it to stick too much and bring up some of the dough when you take off the cutter that you just created with the cardstock in your picture. So I'm going to take one of my handmade cutters and put it on my dough that I rolled out here, and then I'm just going to take a small little paring knife. I got these knives, I couldn't even tell you where, but they're mini and they're wonderful and they're great. But any small paring knife will work. I've also seen people use X-Acto knives, and that's just fine as well, as long as it'll cut the dough, which pretty much any knife will, but I recommend a smaller one. So you can see I'm just going around the shape. The more you drag the knife, the more you can kind of pull the dough. So just be careful. I use kind of like a chopping motion here in order to make sure that my sides are going to be clean. And at the end of this, I'll also show you a nice little hack to give you clean sides of your cookies. So once that's done, you can see I was able to peel my cardstock cookie cutter right off by just sliding my knife underneath it. And then I can remove all the dough around it. And then after I do that, this is the important part of hand cutting, just to make sure it looks neat and professional, is I'm going in with that knife again and just kind of cleaning up the sides. So anywhere where like the cookie dough kind of pulled away from what the cookie's gonna be, and I can just smooth that out to make sure it's gonna look nice and pretty when it comes out of the oven. There's also a couple different ways that you can get your cookie onto your baking sheet. Here I am taking a little offset spatula that I use for cake decorating and kind of just sliding it underneath my dough and then placing it on. But as you can see here on the one that I just put on there, I feel like it got a little bit deformed. So this isn't my preferred method, but I know a lot of people do like that method. The one that I'm gonna do here will be a little bit different once you see me put these to the baking sheets. this right here is my preferred method to get the cookie dough to the cookie sheet. I just slide my parchment paper off and catch the cookie and place it onto the baking sheet. I feel like this does not mess up the cookie at all because I'm not sliding anything underneath it, but whatever floats your boat and makes your heart happy. And always make sure that you also freeze your cookie dough cutouts to make sure that they keep their shape even more. After you put them in the oven, some of them are going to lose their shape. There's lots of different cutout recipes out there that will say no spread, but you know, every once in a while it happens. So in order to keep your cookies in the shape that you want to get those nice pretty clean crisp edges, you could take a zester like I have right here and just wipe the edges, and it'll kind of shave off some of your sugar cookie. And this works really nice again with like straight edges like hexagons and stuff, but it kind of gives you those nice crisp edges to give you the perfect cookie.